Despite being a homicidal maniac, Sweet Tooth is somewhat out of his comfort zone in the Battle Royale. For the first time, the star of one of the PlayStation's longest running franchises is taking to the gladiatorial stage without the aid of a vehicle, relying instead on a well-rounded fighting style built from the ground up for the game. So without further ado, let's see what tasty treats Sweet Tooth brings to the table.
If you're the kind of fighting game player who prefers powerful individual moves as opposed to combos, then Sweet Tooth is for you. He possesses a versatile arsenal of short-range moves that can accumulate AP very quickly, and prepare him for a variety of situations. Let's break down his moveset. The square button primarily controls Sweet Tooth's unarmed melee attacks, with the exception of neutral square. Double tapping neutral square will cause him to slash twice with his machete. This attack has a good reach and is the go-to move for when you've trapped multiple enemies in a tight spot. In the air, neutral square will only slash the machete once, but it has an incredibly wide radius. Against an opponent on the ground, this attack is a good starting point for some combos we'll discuss later. Against an opponent in the air, it will slam them back down to the ground. Forward and square will cause Sweet Tooth to charge forward shoulder first, knocking the opponent backwards onto the ground. This works identically in the air, but the opponent will recover faster, before they hit the ground. Up and square will perform the Jawbreaker, a 3-hit uppercut that both Sweet Tooth and your opponent take a while to recover from. Due to the range of this attack, it's not a very effective anti-air, but you can easily follow it up with forward and square or forward and triangle. In the air, the Jawbreaker only hits once, but like the machete slash, it has an increased radius. Down and square executes the Shinbreaker. At extreme close range, this will crumple your opponent and leave them wide open for a follow-up attack or combo. Make sure you're not surrounded when you use it, however, as it can be interrupted very easily. Strangely, if you're just far enough away from your opponent, the Shinbreaker will throw them off their feet instead of crumpling them. This doesn't seem to have any obvious advantages, however, as the opponent will recover from this form of the attack much more quickly. In the air, down and square works much differently. Sweet Tooth will slam into the floor, launching anyone near the landing zone straight up into the air and leaving them open for juggling. Note that it has no effect on opponents who are already in the air. Next up, the triangle button, where more of Sweet Tooth's armaments come into play. Neutral triangle will bring out the chainsaw, striking opponents on all sides and, if the final hit connects, launching them through the air. This looks impressive, but it's actually one of Sweet Tooth's weakest moves, generating just 8 AP per opponent struck on the ground. Save it for when you're surrounded and need to create space. The chainsaw is actually more effective when used in the air, yielding up to 30 AP per opponent struck, if all hits connect. Bear that in mind when descending towards an opponent. Forward and triangle triggers what is arguably Sweet Tooth's most invaluable asset, his shotgun. This will blast opponents across the stage for 30 AP, whether used on the ground or in the air. Another great tool for creating room, and it's Sweet Tooth's most powerful individual move. Use it constantly. Up and triangle will throw Sweet Tooth's machete into the air at an angle. This can either be used as an anti-air, or, due to the angle at which it's thrown, to strike an opponent standing on the level above you. It will eventually hit an opponent standing in front of you at mid-range, but it's extremely difficult to follow it up with another attack. The move functions identically when used in the air. Down and triangle will bring out the shotgun again, but this time it will crumple your opponent in a manner similar to the Shinbreaker. The major difference here, though, is that the opponent will not be left open for another attack, as they recover from this one almost instantaneously. Again, the move functions identically when used in the air. Finally, we have the circle button, which governs Sweet Tooth's fire-based moves. Neutral circle will cause Sweet Tooth to breathe fire straight forward. Holding neutral circle will breathe fire for longer, and the flame can also be directed with the left analog stick. Anyone caught in the flame will be pushed back for just under 20 AP worth of damage. While that isn't much, you can use it to create room or stop an aerial assault in its tracks. Forward and circle activates Sweet Tooth's weakest attack, the Molotov Cocktail. A direct hit will yield just 5 AP, but it does have a couple of interesting properties. For one, you can hold the circle button to adjust the strength of your throw, making the Molotov Sweet Tooth's only long-range attack. Also, if the Molotov doesn't hit the opponent, it will instead light the ground it hits on fire. Anyone unlucky enough to be standing in that fire will be dealt chip damage of about 10 AP per second. The Molotov also works as an anti-air and can even be used to start a combo at mid-range. Speaking of anti-airs, Up and Circle will produce an explosion above Sweet Tooth's head that will juggle airborne opponents. The range on this attack is pretty good, but the radius is terrible. The opponent has to be directly above Sweet Tooth for it to work. Finally, we have Sweet Tooth's most interesting weapon, the Proximity Mine. With Down and Circle, you can either lay it directly when on the ground, or throw it directly downwards from the air. Either way, the result is the same. The mine remains on the stage until Sweet Tooth places a new one, or someone is unlucky enough to land on it. When they do, they'll be thrown up into the air. You can either use this to create more juggling opportunities, or just generally annoy other players. But with the correct placement, you can even use it to keep a combo going. Speaking of combos, let's try some now. Like I said at the beginning, Sweet Tooth is more reliant on individual moves, but I do have a couple of combos for you to try. These are by no means the only combos Sweet Tooth can pull off, and I definitely encourage you to try and come up with your own. This first one is easy to initiate, but it requires a bit of timing towards the end. Starting in the air, hit down and square to slam down and throw your opponent upwards. While they're airborne, position yourself directly underneath them and wait for them to start falling. Before they recover, hit up and circle to juggle them. If you've timed it right, you should then be able to jump up next to them and hit forward and triangle to blast them away with the shotgun. This combo is worth 70 AP altogether, and there's two great things about it. One, it doesn't require any rapid button inputs, and two, while this combo is rather slow and can be interrupted halfway through, the initial down and square attack should clear the immediate area around you, allowing you to focus on your victim. If you're looking for something that yields a bit more AP, try this. While in the air, hit up and triangle to throw your machete at an opponent on the ground. It should connect just after you land, giving you just enough time to jump towards them and hit them with aerial neutral square. Once you're back on the ground, hit them with down and square. Don't worry, it's easy sailing from now on. Once you've recovered, hit up and square to knock them off their feet, and then finish with forward and square immediately afterwards. This will grant you 90 AP in total, but if you miss the initial aerial up and triangle, don't worry, you'll still get a decent 80 AP from the rest of the combo. This last combo was a long shot, but it will push you over the AP threshold if you can pull it off. Remember how I said the proximity mine can be used to keep a combo going? This is one of those. Place the mine on a relatively long, flat stretch of land. Easy enough, right? The difficult part is getting your opponent into the right position. This is the ideal distance you want them to be from the mine when you make the first strike. That first strike is an aerial neutral square to down square, just like the last combo. Hit forward and square while they're crumpling, and if you set it up right, the opponent will fall onto the mine before they recover. This will blast them into the air, allowing you to jump up and hit them with aerial forward and square to send them over the threshold. Like I said though, if you can pull that off during a regular match, I would love to see the replay. So now you've got the AP, let's talk supers. Sweet Tooth's level 1 super doesn't take long to build up to, which is convenient as it's more often than not your best option. Sweet Tooth will dart forward, grab the opponent, stick a bomb to them and kick them into the air at an angle. When the bomb detonates, it will also take out anyone nearby. Not only is this a very quick super, if the victim hits a wall, they will ricochet off of it, which presents you with the chance to take out other opponents above or behind you, depending how far away from the wall you are. The reason the level 1 super is more often than not your best option is that Sweet Tooth's other supers are significantly more cumbersome. In fact, his level 2 super might be the worst of its class in the entire game. This triggers a missile which you can pilot around the stage in pursuit of your opponents. Although you can detonate the missile at any time, it's incredibly difficult to aim, even on the flattest stages. More often than not, it will net you only one kill, rendering it almost completely pointless. The only time I would recommend using this super is at extreme close range, i.e. when you're standing right next to as many opponents as possible so you don't actually have to aim the missile. Sweet Tooth's level 3 super puts him in control of a mech with access to a minigun, rockets, and a stomp attack. The minigun is your go-to move here, with a spray that's difficult to dodge and covers a long range. The stomp will take out any opponent standing underneath you, while the rockets will take care of any opponent attempting to jump over you. This super can net you a lot of kills, but positioning is critical, as the mech is difficult to maneuver. On a flat stage, with everyone in the sights of your minigun, you can easily rack up to 6 kills. Try to avoid using it on tiered stages like Blackrock Stadium or Sandover Village, where your opponents will be able to hide from the minigun's reach. To sum up, Sweet Tooth's varied range of strong individual moves make him a character that both novices and experts should be able to get some mileage out of. If only his level 2 super wasn't so bad, he could be considered one of the strongest characters in the game. So let's wrap up with a few key tips. Get into the habit of using your shotgun on forward and triangle to build your AP up to level 1 quickly. Avoid using neutral triangle on the ground against individual opponents. If you want to eject them, stick with forward and triangle. Remember your proximity mine on down and circle. There's no penalty for having one placed at any given time. And finally, ignore the level 2 super, unless you've somehow cornered all of your opponents at close range. That's it for this week. I've been Jack from the Beard Network, and be sure to come back next week for another All-Star Guide.